Okay. Well, and everybody know me. I'm Brian Elliott, the Assistant Director for CTE and CMS, and I will toss it to Carol.
I have to change my microphone first. I'm Carol Parrish, and I'm the consultant that's been supporting the career development coordinators for this year.
Good to meet you.
And we'll start with the schools. Patrice, then Ruth, then Tawanda.
Good morning. My name is Patrice McLean. I'm the Career Development Coordinator here at Independence High School.
Hi, Patrice. Good to meet you.
Good meeting you as well.
Hi, I'm Ruth Chisholm. I'm the CDC here at Chambers High School.
Hi, Ruth. Great to meet
Hi,
you.
thank you. Likewise.
Good morning. I am Tawanda Singh, the Career Development Coordinator at Olympic High School.
Hi, Twander.
Good morning.
Good morning. What do you think, Brian? Shall I intro when we dive in?
Yeah,
Oh,
intro and
perfect.
happen, yes.
Well, wonderful. I really appreciate y'all's time this morning. My name is Dorothy Gorman. I'm president at Junior Achievement here for Central Carolinas, and we serve this community. I'm really thankful to meet y'all. I'm just about a year into my role, and so Brian and I have developed a relationship. But it's wonderful to meet many of you, and I know y'all working with Kimberly closely as well. As Brian said, or as I said, just really appreciate knowing how busy this time is that y'all were willing to take a half hour with us. And it's important, just kind of, I say important, invaluable to hear your feedback on the experiences so that as we go forward, we're really making them as impactful for your students as possible. And at this point in the year, since it's still really fresh on your minds, this seemed like for us, a really helpful time to have a discussion before we got too far away. So again, just thank you. Just knowing this week, of course, is busy for you. So my hope is really, I'm going to briefly frame it and then just ask some questions. And not sure, Brian, if Kimberly shared any questions in advance. I had sent some to
No,
her.
she
Nope,
did not.
no
But I
problem.
do want to share this before you get started. Like the
Okay.
how our career development coordinators are organized in CMS. We have like quadres. There are like 6 quadres, and they're organized based off of the body of work for the career development coordinators.
Uh-huh.
So Patrice's quadre was, and I'm glad that she's here. Her quadre was the one that was responsible for the preliminary coordination of um of this event from our side.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would before going into like the questions, I would love for her to give like some feedback and framework because the last 2 years that we had did it like in a collective as a district, Patrice was on that quadre that actually organized that. So if possibly before you start the questions, let her maybe kind of give some framework about how it looked a little bit from our side.
Perfect. I would love that. That'd be
Okay.
awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. So what we did and what we talked about in our schools was um, we had students we went to classrooms,
Mhm.
CTE classrooms. So if we had second block, the JA Inspire started at 9 o'clock. So
Mhm.
we involved our principal, and the ask came from him. At the time, we had a male principal. Um, the ask came from him. We went to all CTE classes, and this was the expectation
Mhm.
that all students in those classes would be participating with this at the same time.
Mhm.
So we also at Independence, we're a little different. Um, we have Avid for all ninth
Yeah.
graders.
Uh-huh.
So we made sure that all Avid students were also logged in to participate at the same time. And
Mhm.
that gave us over 400 students here at Independence participating at the same time. And that was what we did in quadrant one. That was what all of us did. So that really maximized on our ability to expose it to students, so that they could go home and share it. I think that recording is good, but I think that if they are in on that initial push, that makes a difference with them. So those were the strategies that we used to maximize on the number of students that participated.
That's super helpful, Patrice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Terrence just joined Dorothy. Terrence, can you introduce yourself to Dorothy? She's the president of Junior Achievements of Central Carolinas here in Charlotte.
I'm sorry, I was doing like a million things at once. I'm Terrence Daniels, CDC at West Mecklenburg High School.
awesome. Hi, Terrence. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Thanks for making this one of your million things today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm trying. I got an office full right now. I'm trying to kick them out so we can have this meeting.
Hey, if they want to weigh in, that's good too. Cool. Well, Patrice, so and I guess maybe whoever wants to answer this, what Patrice described and how y'all implemented it, was that different then depending on the school, like how did that vary? I'm kind of curious what other approaches were used.
I'll share. I think it varied based on the culture of the school, but I think the number one thing what Patrice alluded to was having the buy-in from the principal from the beginning to even be able to share the opportunity with the CTE staff. And then what our staff did was they identified students that that probably would have had a barrier or conflict with being able to participate had this been an in-person event. I think that was one of the priorities for us, but then it was also opened up to, for example, the entire class. So one of the things for me was, this was a highlight for me, which the opportunity kind of eliminated barriers. As some of our young folks may not drive or don't have transportation, or may not be able to participate or partake in these experiences face to face. And it also allowed us to maximize the use of time. And I'll give you an example. Sometimes in the transporting students from events, there's a time of 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or what have you, with getting them going back. And with that being said too, I'll talk a little bit more about transportation, how we have some time constraints with being able to get CMS buses sometimes as well. So I saw this as a highlight. When I look at the big picture, it kind of eliminated the huge barrier sometimes, which is the transportation barrier for me. So I thought it was awesome. I'm hoping to continue it. And I also like to highlight, this experience was better and in some of the previous years where there was some login issues. I felt a little bit different this year where we didn't have so many challenges with logging in. So that went over well too. Okay. So two things here, the process with the logging in was great. And the transfer, this was an equity issue to me, where making sure that all students had the same opportunity to partake in this experience. And that's pretty big with our district too, just making sure we're being fair across the board with students.
I love that. Thank you so much. That's awesome to hear. That's such a good way to frame it too. Welcome. And may I ask, did you do a lot on the live day, Tawanda? Was that a big day for you, or was it just at different times students were in the platform?
I think different times. I think we've provided instructors with the flexibility there. And I like that part too, so that so some instructors may say, okay, we're going to do our warm up or do a review, and then we're going to transition into the experience. So just giving those teachers some flexibility too was good for us as well.
That's great to hear. Okay, yeah, so just being able to have the option of the live day is good, but also for some that flexibility is super valuable. Okay.
I'd like to add something to what Tawanda was saying. One of the things that I wish on my wish list is that we had it a little earlier for our first block students. Okay. They missed the opportunity because of it starting at 9 o'clock. And even if it started at 8 o'clock, we can get the other students to be able to participate as well.
That's a great piece of feedback. Thank you. Okay. And how did Ruth, did y'all do it more similar to Tawanda or Patrice? Okay.
Yes, with the CTE teachers, having the CTE teachers sign up. Pretty much anybody that the link was available to all teachers to utilize. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have the mic.
No, you're good. You're good. And it sounds like principal buy-in is well important for y'all. And then, yeah. Okay. So I
One
love,
thing we do, Dorothy, we didn't do it the first year, but we did do it this year.
yeah.
We added it to the principal emailer. While each we have like the principal gets like the email from central office, from the chief performance officer who oversees all of the principals and the learning community superintendents. So they each week is a email that goes out. So one thing we did this time was we wanted to put it inside of the principal emailer a little brief overview of what this was and the fact that their project lead at their school would be like the career development coordinators. I think that also helped with us on our end, making sure that the principals understood it from here at district office. So when all that wouldn't be just all the CDC trying to go and get the buy-in from the principal. Now the first year we did not do it that way. We allowed just the CDC to kind of do the communications, but that was something we added this second year.
I love that. Okay. Thanks for adding that. You think, and it seemed like that was a good additional channel to communicate. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other, let's see, I love hearing this about how y'all have implemented and that the flexibility is really valuable. Anything else, Terrence or Carol, y'all would want to add before I move on to kind of a second block of questions?
So for me, I think I did the same way everybody else did. I pretty much advertised through email and social media and things like that. Talk to the principals, admins, and different department chairs to and teachers. It was good enough to where we had like a staff meeting the day before. So I was able
Oh,
to
wow.
I was able to remind the teachers that, hey, this is what we got going on. Because a lot of the correspondences are with students
Mhm.
to sign up and things like that. But it was good to actually be able to be in front of the teachers and tell them about the program, well, tell them about the actual career fair. So same thing when it came on, I got approval to make an announcement. Hey, students, make sure you log in, check your emails, log in. Not sure how many we had, but the students were able to log in and go through it. Some teachers said they wish they had more time because, like we said, it started at 9 and our second block ends. Well, I think that's during our hawk time. Our hawk time ends at 9:25. So some teachers were like under the impression that, okay, they're just going to do it for the 25 minutes that we had left. And so when students went to the other class, some students were still logged in on their Chromebooks. Just like,
Okay.
no, well, we got to start class now, so it was kind of some teachers were still allowing the students to do it and have more time, but then other teachers were, well, we got to get to this lesson. So it was good and bad. Oh, well, I wouldn't say bad, but some
Yeah.
students got more out of it than others, because
Sure.
of the time frame. So like I said, some students were able to stay in the whole time and then go back in when they got to their other classes, and some teachers were, like, hey, we got to get the lesson. You had your time. Let's keep it moving.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So similar, maybe an earlier start could be helpful.
Yeah.
That extra little block, but you did a lot of pre-advertising.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, because the school day starts at 7:15 for high school.
mhm.
So if we can start it earlier, like around 8 o'clock, like Michelle was saying, for first block,
Yeah,
that will kind of ensure us getting a lot more students, because each
exactly.
high school possibly has a different schedule. Now, like I say, like for us, we have like a hawk time, which is like study hall, so to speak, built into the whole day. I know some schools adopted that method as well. Some do it first block. We do it during second. Some do it during third.
Okay.
So like we had that earlier start time, it'll
Okay.
be good to reach more students.
That's
Yeah, and I
good.
think that'd be, I
Mhm.
Go
think
ahead,
that'd be
sorry.
good across the board too.
Yeah.
I like what you just said because a lot of times after that first block, some schools have other things built into their schedules that
Mhm.
rotate from day to day. So I like what you just said. I would agree that the earlier is better because our first block is pretty solid over here at Olympic. So
Okay.
I think we will have more opportunity to reach more students that way too, Terrence. That's a good point, Terrence.
Okay. That's really, really good. And because y'all find that did they all log in at first block, or you had whatever that class was when they were in that class they came through?
So they logged in during that. So We have, like I said, we have like a study hall built in. I can't
Okay.
remember what day it was,
Okay.
the actual day, but for us it varies from
Mm-hmm.
Monday through Thursday. Depending on the actual day of the week, it could be first block, second block, third block, and fourth block.
Mhm.
So for example, if it was on a Wednesday, then they will be in third block during that 8:45 till 9:25 time.
Okay. Okay.
So, like I said, it just depends on the actual day that we had it. But yeah, so that's when the students logged in. I would say that's when the biggest number logged in during that time.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. So curious, I want to just be really respectful of time. What did students say about it? What did you hear from them? Like, what were some of their reactions? If you just overheard any chatter, good, bad, otherwise, what did they tell you?
So if I can speak, um, I know there are several students who don't fit the profile of Mayor's Youth because they don't want to take a class. They didn't do what they were needing to do for MEC Pathways. But with JA Inspire, a lot of students were able to be face to face with, I know one student wants to be a broker, and he was able to be well, not face to face, but
Yep.
in immediate contact with somebody. And that student has been in my office ever since, every
Great.
day almost, just asking about opportunities. And I think, I can't remember the bank, but I think that this student actually made a connection that gave them an opportunity for either a job shadow. I don't think it was an internship, but I
Yeah.
do think it was a job shadow. And I know for a fact that's one that I heard of, but I know that all it takes is one student
Yep.
to share out their positive um interaction, and it was great.
That's
So
awesome,
that
Patrice.
that was what happened here at Independence.
That's awesome.
So I know for me, just walking around from class to class, some students just had it up and was just going through the motions, or I don't understand, don't know what to click on. But one student, I remember one student raised their hands like, "Oh man, look at this!" And I walked around and looked, and I can't remember if it was Parks and Rec, or I think it was the city or something like that, right?
Hmm.
And they were hiring. I think it was lifeguards or whoever it
Yeah,
was.
lifeguards were hiring. Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah,
had them
it
there.
was the
Hmm.
lifeguard. So I'm
Yeah.
like, like, oh man, look at this, they're hiring. And so I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what did you think it was? And they're like, oh, I thought it was just gonna be us going through, playing around and playing. I was like, no. So then they went back out and went to another room and clicked on another one, and they had the flyer, we're hiring, fill this
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So a lot of kids after that, like, I want to say that classroom probably had maybe 8 to 10 students in there.
Yeah.
And out of the 8 to 10, I would say at least 6 or 7. Right, it was a huge number. Like 6 or 7 was like, oh, where is it? Which one is it? Let me go. Let me see. And so from going to the next classroom, because I saw that on their end, I was
Mm-hmm.
able to go in and, hey guys, click on this, click on this. This who is hiring. Because my thing to the kids, I'm always saying, let's get this money. Because at my school, that's what they're concerned about. I'm like, hey, you want that money? Let's get this money.
It's right
So
there.
click
Yeah.
on this, click on that. So
Opportunity.
just thinking about it, I think if we had access
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like a day before
Uh-huh.
or a couple days before, other than like the screenshots that's normally sent, if
Sure.
we had access to the actual platform to see exactly where to go. So when we're walking around to classrooms, or that we can tell the teachers, hey, when the students log in, tell
Yep.
them to click here, tell them to click, these are the places that are hiring right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If that can happen, that'll be great for us.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, just popped in, just thought about it. That'll be
Yeah.
great.
No, I see
Mhm.
how that
Yeah,
would be valuable.
the guidebook, the last 2 years that we had it, we would always get the guidebook maybe the day before, and I was rushing trying to send it out
Yeah.
to the CDCs, and then by that time, most of the teachers were already either going. I know this past year when I sent it out, it was like almost at the end of the day, and CDCs, if they were still in the building, they wasn't probably not looking at their emails. They
Mm-hmm.
might be dealing with some programming or something, and then they had to get it for the teachers the next morning.
Yeah.
That communication there, if we could get that a lot earlier, I
Yeah.
think that would help help have a resource for them, or either like having a virtual training. I know that your team normally will come to our CDC meeting. They kind of will talk very high level, but maybe some virtual training on the platform with the
Mm-hmm.
CDCs. That might would be something that would give them more of a tool to be able to support the teachers.
I love that. What's an ideal, how much earlier would be ideal if you could have in
I
your
believe 2 weeks. I think
okay.
2 weeks is something that's realistic. But the last 2 years, I'll be honest, it's been like about a day before.
Yeah, that's not ideal. I get that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I hear you. That's great. Okay. Anything to add, Ruth or Tawanda or Carol on just the I'd love like just student, but like what Patrice and Terrence were saying, that's helpful to know what students were telling you. And again, good, bad, or otherwise, don't hold back. I mean, we really want to know. Like,
So I had pretty similar experiences to the both of them. So yeah, I ditto that.
okay.
Yep.
Awesome. See some heads nodding. That's good. Um, did y'all have any incentives for students to participate? And by that, I mean, like, it sounded like you gave them time in the day when they didn't have other stuff to do. Was there anything that was like, hey, there's because there were company representatives on the live day who could interact with them. And some of the feedback we were hearing from them was like, gosh, I don't think I got as many questions as I wanted. So part of us is like, well, how could we help incentivize or encourage the students to engage? Because I know that could also be a little intimidating, but I don't know if they knew that there were company representatives behind the scenes. So tell me a little bit, how did you like either and say incentivize them to participate or encourage them to talk to company representatives if you did that?
We, some of our health science classes, a couple of our health science classes gave the students, they had to visit 3 different careers. They wanted them to identify 3 careers or 3 people that they had spoken to.
Okay.
So, and if they did, you had something written up, even if it was just with the 1, 2, 3, with the 3 people that they spoke with, or 3 places that they visited,
Mm-hmm.
they were given credit for that and then able to explain what the job was about or what the companies that they were visiting, what
Okay.
they were about. So there were some classes that did initiate that.
Okay.
So for Olympic, pretty much I kind of left it up to the instructors, but I'd be open for some suggestions around that. But again, yeah, just kind of left it up to the teachers to determine how to incentivize that or encourage the students.
Okay.
Other than, letting them know that these are opportunities, great opportunities that they don't want to miss. So, but definitely
Yeah.
open for some dialogue around that.
Okay. Yeah. That's good.
And
Because I know
so,
we.
and I'm not sure how we can actually keep track of which student, because I know everybody's just given a general login, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. I
So
believe so. I think so.
yeah, so some of it is hard to keep track as far as which student actually logged in.
Mm-hmm.
All we can do, I know on our side as teachers, well, as the teachers, what they can do is say, oh, we had, 10 people log in. I saw 10 people, logged in with it up on their screen. So it's not a way to actually track if it was the same student logging in, at the 9 o'clock time, and then they went to another class at 11 and logged in. So it's not really a way to see how many students actually did it, besides, I guess, the number of logins that you get, because it's not really specific to each student.
Yeah.
But one thing that I thought about, and I was about to share this out, that we talked about in our quadrant, but I think this was an Naviance incentive. But one of the things that we could do, because this is one thing that we were talking about for Naviance in our quadrant, if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Chisholm, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say Kim at Harding was doing like the homeroom or a certain class that has the most logins or the most surveys completed through Naviance, then they were able to get some sort of incentive, like pizza party, ice cream, or something like that. So if
Mm-hmm.
we was to do that, we would be going on the honor system, like with the teachers. Hey, how many of your
Yeah.
students were logged in? So if we had a way to say, this teacher, well, this login had a certain amount,
I gotcha.
and then we're able to see those numbers. Oh, well, Miss Chisholm's homeroom had, 15 kids log in. So Miss Chisholm's homeroom gets the ice cream, or they get
Mhm.
pizza, or they get hog. We have the hero system here, so they get the hog bucks, or whatever it is. So
Mhm.
if it was a way to track, I know it's a lot. It might be something big on the IT side, but if we're able to get like a way to get account of the individual students.
Yeah, you
Or
might be able, yeah.
something to the effect of, because I lived the world when we had the with the logins, and it was a very nightmare in terms of support of that. But something that could give you what he's asking for would
Mhm.
be something like kind of like a student passport. That it could be an electronic student passport. Even if we kept the logins the way that we did it,
Yeah.
that the student had to go to a particular like some form that you all have on the platform, and when they go into the form, they can put their demographic information, and then they could say that they went to maybe 3 or 4 different locations, and then do a debrief about what those locations gave them, or some feedback or whatever, and they hit submit. So when they hit submit, it will show that this school had these many logins or this whatever, and not go dealing with the logins, because I really think we got it really nailed down with the logins thing, because I was the person in central office had to support when we had those. It was a nightmare trying, because they was all calling in, and we were trying, this class couldn't do this class couldn't do that, but it would give what he's talking about by having like some type of electronic passport that
Yeah.
would capture that information, that will give that. And it also could give that report back to CMS, and then we can take and break it down, give it out to the schools, like these many students completed their passports or whatever. But it'll give you guys some real time data while they in their experience, to be able to share with your stakeholders, something like that. So that's
Awesome.
just an
Yeah,
idea.
I love that idea. That's awesome. That's great feedback, honestly. We are at time, so I know if y'all, I do have a couple more questions, but I do want to let people need to go. I don't know if you have more time. I want to be as respectful as possible. I can take more time. I can cut it off now, and if we have 5 minutes, great. If not, y'all tell me.
Yeah, I got 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll keep
Yeah.
it to 5. Thank you. Thank you. Um, okay, so what would you say compared to, so I heard the comment about equity. What else did you love about the experience that you would say you guys knocked it out of the park on this feature, factor, company there, whatever it is? I heard equity is really helpful in this case. What else?
I
I
feel like, oh, I'm sorry, Ruth, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think, I'm not sure how well, or if this was thought about prior. One of the drivers could be just to look at, the pathways, the CTE pathways, to try to just make sure that we are aligning um, stakeholders or presenters or businesses with our pathways, just to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that we have opportunities, or students have opportunities to talk to those business folks that are in our CTE pathways.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that one, do.
Awesome. Yep.
I was thinking, I can't remember, I'm so sorry, but I was thinking if there was a list that we can give to the students prior to, and then they can check which vendor that they would like to go see. And
Mm-hmm.
then they would have, we can discuss that with the students prior to the event, so they'll be more prepared and have a question or so already ready to ask of that vendor if something caught their eye. I think
Perfect.
that would.
I like that idea a lot. What else would you do differently?
And I agree with what Ruth was saying about and I think it goes back to that not the passport, but that the student guide that y'all put together. It's a great guide, and it has some of that information. But by the time we get it, it's like the teacher can't do any of the pre-lessons, because y'all do have some pre-lessons and pre-activities that's in there. But when they get it, it's like the day before, and it's kind of like they can't really disseminate to the teachers. But the idea of that document has what Ruth is talking about in there, because y'all do list the companies that's participating. So
Yep.
just I think it's more so not recreating the wheel, but just the fact that we get that document way in
Get
advance
earlier.
that they can use it in the classrooms.
I like that. What else would you change?
I don't think all mine was just with all the ideas that I
Just very-
said. It's not
Okay.
much of a change, just an add on.
Okay.
But I agree with what everybody else said. You know, just the time frame is big on our behalf, because like Brian was saying, like when we get it, it's like the day before.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to rush. 'Cause I know a lot of us, when we're having career fairs and things like that, we'll send things out to the teachers and the students like weeks before, or maybe the week of, and say, hey, this is who will be here. Here are some questions. You know, give activities to the students so they can walk around to, you know, each person and ask questions and things like that, try to hold them accountable. So if we got these things in, you know, days before, or maybe a week before, we're able to kind of do those things, because like we say, the teachers are like last minute. You know, they're like, well, you know, we have this lesson plan and we got to do this, so we don't have the time to. So if we can build it in, like, you know, throughout the week building up, then that'll be helpful.
Just have that planning time. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all use anything else that compares to this or is similar to this when it comes to career exploration locally?
No, the only thing I can think of would be Naviance, but it's not as interactive. It's not as interactive as this, because Naviance is just you type in the career and it gives you the information, the breakdown. Whereas this is like the online career fair, you know, with, you know, so Naviance would be similar, but still not in the same lane. They're not brother and sister, they're like cousins.
I hear you.
You know, they're not the same, but similar.
Cool. Okay. If y'all think of anything else, share. And then, so last couple questions. One, should we keep doing it? Do you like it? You would like us to continue it?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And then,
Well, I know for me, because it comes during CTE month, so so that's one thing that we can add to our list. So I say, yeah, keep it in February.
awesome. And then if you could say, like, would you recommend this to others to participate that aren't participating in it already?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Well, I really appreciate that. Brian, thank you so much for bringing this group together. It's so good to see y'all. It's so good to meet all of you. And if you don't mind, if I can kind of put an open plug, based on some of your comments, I might reach back out to you and just be like, hey, can you clarify this? Or can I have another quick chat? You may expect that. I really appreciate it, y'all. So good to meet you. Have a wonderful
Thank you.
last week
You
of school.
too.
Take
All right,
care.
you too. Have a
Bye.
good one.
Y'all too.
Thank you. Have a great one.